was bad. Since George Lucas came up with Jar Jar Binks. This is the Wicked Theory Podcast.
This is the Wicked Theory Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Bill Sweeney. And off to, on my left side this week, he threw me for a loop there, but he's there. It's my buddy Tom.
What's going on?
Brother Bob on guitar. Hey, Brother Bob.
Hello.
All right, so we got a special one, a little different this week. It's all comics. It's an all comic book spectacular.
Comic book madness.
I don't know if well, maybe not spectacular, but,
Fun.
Fun. Some fun. I don't know. Well, me and Dom, we're actually recording this one a little earlier. It's we're making way. We got big plans over the weekend. 4th of July.
4th of July is coming, folks.
I got fireworks to light, and then that's my whole weekend. That's all I'm doing.
Just lighting up. Just lighting up fireworks.
Just lots and lots of fireworks. I spent about $3,000 on ground bloom flowers.
So it's just another form of masturbation this weekend.
Well, that's... maybe in your town. Maybe wherever you're coming from, that's how they do it.
It just sounds like in about 15 minutes you're going to...
Self-indulgence.
The holiday's going to be over.
This was supposed to be a friendly, kid-friendly episode of comics.
We're doing this one for the kids, Bob.
Really?
You didn't get the memo?
No, I didn't.
It's all about the fucking kids. You didn't know? Now we got to start over.
Email.
All right, well, we'll give it another go. We'll try it again. We'll pretend. So with that said, today's Wednesday. Me and Don just came back from the comic shop.
We got some books hot off the press here.
So we couldn't have planned this any better, really. Not that we planned it much at all.
No, we don't plan anything, as you can tell.
As you can tell, it's minimal planning that goes into this fucking shit. But especially this week. But we just came back from the comic shop, and they had Cullen Bunn was in town.
He was in town.
He doesn't come to this side of the country.
What town, Bill?
This is Neverland.
Oh, okay.
Not to be confused with Neverland.
Okay.
Or the Neverland Ranch.
Right.
This is just Neverland, as in we never get anything done around here.
Okay, that's.
I thought maybe we never land.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
It's about damn right.
We just keep circling around stuff, and we never really get to it.
We never really land.
Not for nothing. I listen back on the episodes of the podcast, and that shit happens a lot. You'd be surprised how many times it's like, yeah, we're going to get to that, or we're going to do that, or listen for that in a little bit. And then, we just kind of, trail off, go on some other tangent, and I'm sitting there, listening back, one of these days, I guess we'll get to these things that we say we're going to get to. But it's not like big things down the pike. It's just 5 minutes from now. But so me and Dom just came back from the comic shop where we spent some hard-earned money on this week's books. And, I don't know, maybe we'll go over our stacks a little bit since we got them with us. You know what I mean?
Might as well.
What'd you pick up this week, buddy? I mean, you don't necessarily have to read the whole list if you don't want to, but you could. I mean, we'll go over it.
I only picked up a few books this week, not that crazy. Picked up We Stand on Guard.
I got that too.
That's I'm not really sure who's writing that, but
it's
Jeff Lemire.
Dude.
Is that Jeff Lemire?
I think Jeff Lemire, Cullen Bunn, or
no,
what's his name?
Definitely not Cullen Bunn.
No, I know. I was going to make a joke.
Oh.
It's either Jeff Lemire, Cullen Bunn, or who's the other one that writes everything? There's 3 guys. They write every book that's out.
Scott Snyder.
No, he's only writing a couple, man. He keeps himself, True. When you're writing Batman, I don't think you need to write 75 other books. I think your pay grade's a little different.
Yeah.
Something might be be
very true.
But
so I picked that up. I picked up A-Force #2. That's a new Marvel book by not really sure who's writing that either.
Beyonce. I hear it's all about the
women.
It's all about the ladies.
It's all about the women. But no, it's definitely a female friendly book. But it's actually very good. The first issue was pretty good. I think you read it yourself.
Yeah, right? I did. I liked it, and I'm not going to say, I didn't pick it up because I didn't like it, but it was a hard week for me. I picked up probably too much stuff, and it came down to, what can I put back and get another time,
Right. Yeah, so that's a book focuses around She-Hulk and a few of the other main women Marvel heroes, I guess you could say.
Ladies of Marvel. Mm-hmm.
And a couple spins on male characters, right?
I forget.
That Loki character, maybe?
Oh, yeah, because Loki, for a while now in the Marvel Universe, has been a female, like stuck in a female's body, or was just turned female. I have a feeling it was against his wishes, though.
Probably.
Maybe he's into it. By now, he probably has learned to like it a little bit.
Possibly.
Yeah, knowing Loki, yeah.
You know, I was just going to say, if anybody would, it would be Loki.
Absolutely.
So, what else you get?
Jupiter's Circle, number 4, is that on, I think?
So, yeah, it's got to be.
Number 4, I think. That's by one of my favorite writers,
What
Mark
are you
Miller.
reading off your receipt? So that's clipping off your...
Yeah, I'm reading off the receipt
I'm going
right
to
now.
make a little noise here and just pull up my bag. My big bag of books. It's so big, Dom had to leave the table. He's like, I got to make room for that. No, he
This is how Bill works out. This thing's so big.
This is
pile.
That's how I do my curls. I do them with a big stack of comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the size of a cinder block, your pile.
Yeah. But the reason I jumped to is because I was going to see if that was issue 4 or not, but not that it
It is issue 4, actually.
Yeah, issue 4, which has been a really great Mark Miller book. You know what I mean? If you've read the first Jupiter's Legacy, that first run of characters.
Yeah, so Bill lent me that trade. I just never really got around to reading it yet.
It's got a totally different feel. It's
Really?
it's a totally different vibe. It's not just because of that Jupiter's Legacy takes place kind of modern day, and then Jupiter's Circle is 1940s and 50s. Right. It's not even just that. It's just the tone of the particular story is different. Anything else? What you got? You
Yeah,
got
so
more?
I got a couple more books.
A couple more books.
I got Airboy, number 2, which is it's pretty cool. I mean, you know, it's by James Robinson. It's only the second issue right now, but it's...
Did you read Airboy?
I read the first issue.
I read the first issue.
Cool, right?
I like how it's all about making the book. It's a comic about making the comic about Airboy.
Right, and it's like
because they can't do much else with Airboy, so they're writing a comic. And if something along the way happens to they get a brainstorm. And it's like, oh crap! Now we know what to do with Airboy.
Right.
Then they can start doing it, and the company gets to keep the license.
Right. I really like the book.
They get to make it there.
Right. So just as Bobby said, it's a book about these two guys who actually are writing and drawing the book. It's about them two just being fucking pretty much train wrecks. And
you gotta like meta stuff and drug stuff going on, drinking and drugging.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I'm pretty sure there was a full blown penis in the first issue.
I think I got a good comparison to people. It's kind of like Hal and Kumar go to White Castle.
Explicit.
Done as Airboy.
I'll take that one.
Kind of like.
Much more explicit, though.
Yeah, it's a lot more graphic. I mean,
because the things that they show in that book, you can't show on movies or TV.
Well, you can, but just don't do it. I was surprised to see it. I was just surprised to see a penis in the first issue. I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that kind of like
not too surprised because the story is just kind of slowly turns into one of those kinds of stories where a cock is inevitable almost by a certain point.
It also reminds me of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yes, it's got that. I'll go with that. That's got a better feeling. Like it's a little bit road trip.
Yeah, but see, I didn't want to use that because I don't think most people are going to get that.
Yeah. Well, don't think of it as road trip.
I definitely didn't.
Yeah.
Don't think of it as...
I meant Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
It's not that heavy on the drugs. But it's coming recommended from this table, I'd say. Right?
Yeah. It's worth reading just to see where it goes.
Right.
What it is well written.
Right. And
don't expect to see a superhero flying around.
No, it's definitely
not at this point.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something that's a little more mature and you just want to see where the hell it goes, this is a good ride.
Sure. All right, what else we got in your stack there, bud?
I got Secret Wars, number 4.
Shh, don't tell anybody. It's a secret.
It's a secret?
All right, Secret Wars number 4.
Secret Wars number 4, not really much to talk about there. I mean, other than that.
See a little.
I don't know. Bob saw some skin. He got excited. Yeah. So Bob might be surprised to see that barbed wire is back.
Yeah, I actually was going to say, I picked up this new number 1. I was going to ask to both of you guys, I really don't know what this book is about. I just know there was a lot of buzz around about this coming back because I know there was...
The reason I really picked it up
back in the days
mainly was not just because of like some nostalgia bullshit, because I wouldn't have picked it up otherwise, but the original guy who wrote the original run is back on this. So, the guy who created the character. So I was like, all right, I'll pick up number 1, I'll give it a shot. And he's, it's a reboot kind of thing. It's a restart.
What is that about?
So, she is a badass chick in general sense, but
wasn't she a stripper?
It says don't fuck with barbed wire on the
She
cover,
owns a
so
bar. She's kind of a stripper and a PI bounty hunter, but I think they've kind of pulled out the stripper angle.
Okay.
Out of this.
Right, because that's what the movie, because it was a movie.
Yeah, I think the movie put that in with Pamela Anderson. It was Pamela Anderson's big movie that was supposed to blow her up, and it really didn't.
Okay.
Because it was just too goofy.
And it was just bad.
And just bad in general.
The script was just bad.
I'm sorry, but anything that's not like in a magazine with Pamela Anderson, not for me.
What are you saying? Anytime that she's got to
act,
deliver some dialogue, if she's running across the beach saving lives, that's good stuff. Everybody likes lives to be saved.
Especially if she's going in slow motion.
Exactly.
That's
the only way I'll take it. Exactly.
Did they ever shoot her in another speed?
Right.
All right. What else? That's it for your stack. No,
and then lastly, I just picked up the second trade of Letter 44.
Letter 44. We're going to chat that up in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll go back to that. Hopefully, maybe this time. Maybe this time we'll be
we're going to tease something and not do it. I got you. I see what you're saying. That's our way. I got you. All right. So then my stack.
What about you, Bill?
All right. Well, sit down, kids. I hope you got like a half an hour or 45 minutes. I picked up Future Imperfect from Marvel's Secret Wars run, which has been pretty good so far. I mean, we're only 2 issues in, but
what's that about, Bill?
It's about the future not being quite perfect.
Oh, okay.
It's an imperfect future.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Back in the 90s.
No.
Well, back in the 90s, there was during Peter David's run on the Hulk, there was a 2-part story thing where the Hulk goes into the future and meets his future self, who is like this really evil dictator who kind of crushed all the other Marvel heroes. It was called Maestro. So now with the Secret Wars thing going on, where they've plucked pieces of all these different...
it's all nostalgic
it's all nostalgia, fan stroking. But, so anyway... in this whole storyline, all these different little old storylines get a time to shine, and it's about revisiting that story, that classic Hulk story, if you will.
That's good.
I also picked up Jupiter's Circle. I picked up... let me go real quick, just kind of separate them a little bit. Another Secret Wars one, I picked up Red Skull #1.
Right, so I skipped out on that one.
Well, I'll lend it to you. I'll let you know how it was.
Let me know how it was, man.
I flipped through it a couple times, and I was like, all right, we'll give it a shot. Let me see. Airboy, I also have. Barbed Wire, I also have. We Stand on Guard.
Alternate covers, guys. Same issue?
Yeah. Ooh. Whose is going to be worth more?
Ooh.
Probably his, because I'll end up crapping mine somehow. I'll get a coffee ring on it or something like that. I'll use it as a coaster.
I picked that up also. I don't know if I mentioned that before. Brian K. Vaughan.
Brian K. Vaughan's new book, We Stand on Guard, which has got some Canadian stuff going on. And I don't know exactly the full setup, but I'm thinking from the cover it might be some America versus Canada kind of thing.
Really?
Well, just in general, Canada flag.
I wouldn't have bought it if I knew that.
Yeah, but, the
fuck is that bullshit?
Really, didn't we just see this story already in the South Park movie?
Yeah, but
not just because that movie came out like 15 years ago.
I was also going to see what about Canadian Bacon, which is another movie which is about Canada.
Canada.
The Canadians, turning on us or whatever. But we'll see how it goes. Brian K. Vaughan is, if you're not aware, he's like a really spectacular writer. And
he wrote Why the Last Man.
Why the Last Man. He's actually one of the few people that they brought on during Lost, when Lost was on TV, to kind of like help out and help map some shit, behind the scenes and stuff. So he's got some credits behind. He's actually partially responsible for Under the Dome, if I remember correctly. He helped kind of put that together. So that's not looking good for him right now with me because, if you heard last week, I did not speak favorably of Under the Dome. All right. I almost died trying to do that.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little. Another Secret Wars one, I picked up Battle World Ultimate End, #3. This is, we'll see how that goes. Secret Wars #4. Also, The Spirit. I wanted to put that back, but, The Spirit #1, which is very much a throwback to the old Will Eisner run. I don't know who's actually working on it now.
That is Matt Wagner.
All right, that's good.
And Dan Schade.
Can I see that? How's it spelled? Matt Wagner and Dan Skade.
I'll go with
I'll go with it just like you said.
I'll go with Skade.
Or if he's gonna be in a Skade.
There would be an accent on that if it was Skade.
Yeah, Skade, I think.
Yeah, he's probably right. It'd probably be a little swoosh.
Swoosh.
Nike swoosh.
If anyone's curious, it's SCHAKDE. No, SCHKADE.
There you go.
Bob.
Skade.
Now, Bill, what about this book right here? You got Outcast.
Yeah. So I pulled some of these to the side because I want to talk about them a little bit more.
What is that one about? I heard that's a pretty popular book right now, and it's getting a TV show, right?
The kids love it. The kids can't get enough of the Outcast. So this is by Robert Kirkman, creator of The Walking Dead. This is his new book. It's up to issue 10, but this is actually pretty good. It's a little slow, but so this is some.
You don't mean short bus kind of slow.
No, again, second short bus reference in
I
in
thought
3
this was
episodes.
a family episode, Bob. Come on.
You gotta stop insulting the buses, Bob. They can't all be long buses.
This is true.
You know? Not everybody's a long bus. You know?
All right, let's hear about this Outcast business.
It's about outcasts. No one likes them. I don't know. It's because I was stuck there for a second. It's I know what it is. I can't just think of the word. I'm fucked right now. Can anybody read my mind? Help me. I'm fucking lost.
Can't read what's not there.
That's true. It's a short story anyway.
On to the next one.
Possession, demon possession, exorcisms. There you go, exorcisms. So it's got to do with some exorcism stuff. The main character was possessed once as a child, and now he seems to be a little bit in tune to that. But now that he's older, it's turned out that, like, oh shit, like this wasn't just me here in this town. This has happened to some other people, and it's starting to happen again. Showtime has picked this up as a series. They're filming the pilot now, I believe, because I know they cast the main character at the very least. It's been a while since I heard anything. So it's definitely something to keep your eye on. And, you know, if you are into Kirkman, definitely give it a shot. I'd say go pick up the first trade. Neverboy is a book from Dark Horse that it's just fucking weird. And I don't know why.
I picked the first issue. And
I'm not sure why.
Very weirded out by it.
I don't know why I'm still reading it.
So that book is about...
an imaginary friend?
Imaginary friend, I guess. That's what I took out of the first issue.
Yeah, he's he's another
that.
person's imaginary friend that somehow he managed to keep himself in the real world at some point. And it's only now because he's a real person that he's found a medication or this drug that helps to keep him here.
Right.
Like as long as he's kind of doped up medically, not getting high, but like psychological medications, it helps to keep him here. He doesn't have to worry as much. He doesn't have to try as hard as some shit. Right. But anyway, it's like midlife crisis for an imaginary friend kind of a thing.
Right, okay.
It's very weird. It's very odd. It's surreal. It's very surreal.
If I'm not wrong here, I remember in the first issue, maybe his family belonged on a billboard. His family was like on a billboard or something like that. Like his wife and his kid were like just like on a Crest commercial on a billboard.
Yeah, but it's funny because it's like I didn't, I hadn't remembered that aspect of it. I wonder now if I went back and reread or if that's going to pop up again in here later.
That's just one of the things that stuck out to me.
It plays his wife and his kid as being very, very real though, and he's the only one. I mean, he's run into somebody else now that is also like an imaginary friend who tries to keep themselves grounded. But the family, like the wife and the kid, they're supposed to be very real, and I don't know if that was like something in his head or whatever. I also picked up issue number 1 of The Spire. I don't know what that's going to be about, but we'll give it a shot. Grant Morrison's 18 Days I also picked up, and because Cullen Bunn was at the comic shop, and I just love to spend money, I picked up the first 2 graphic novels for The Sixth Gun, which is his long-running, ongoing book that people just freaking rave about, and I know zero about it.
Right, I don't know anything about it.
And I'm running on recommendation alone with that, and I actually bought 2, so that's a bold move.
But they got both signed, though. So
I got them both signed, and you know me and money, we are always soon parted.
But yeah, shout out to, obviously I'm sure he's not listening to this one.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure he's not.
Shout out to Cullen Bunn. He was a really cool guy, meeting him today, and I love a bunch of his books. Hellbreak, if you're not reading that, is one of the best books out right now. It's published by Oni Press, and I would definitely give it a look.
Cullen Bunn, the way our local comic shop, Comic Book Jones, was basically telling people, like, if you don't know who that name is, but you've been buying comics for the last couple of years, you have his stuff. Like, he's just written so much stuff. He's one of these guys.
He writes every Deadpool book, but the main Deadpool book.
Okay.
Like right now, that's one of his big things at Marvel. He's writing like a lot of Deadpool stuff, but his list. If you look up his list online, on Comic Book DB, it's like just fucking. It's just. Like he's written, maybe he's only jumping in and out for like 4 or 5 issues.
So he's kind of paid all his dues.
Yes.
He's worked hard the whole time that he's been doing this. He's got tons and tons of credits.
His first mainstream work, I think, is around 2005. He did a couple of things before that.
Right, so he's been in doing 10 years.
But it's one of these guys where it's like, he's probably got 4 different books on the stamp. Granted, they're not all written at the same time.
He just started a new Green Lantern book, man.
Yeah, he's got a new Green Lantern book. He's got his own horror book, Harrow County.
Harrow County. I only picked up the first issue, but
me too.
When I was having a conversation with him at the store, he was telling me that that's his personal favorite book that he writes, and supposedly, most of the feedback that he gets from his personal fans, they all rave about that book specifically.
He seems to get more fan traction, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I mean, and he was saying too. I overheard him saying too that he seems to be a guy who leans more towards horror, and that his prose writing is more horror based, but he doesn't actually probably get to do as much.
Because that Hellbreak book that I mentioned before, it's not really horror. It's not really a horror story,
right?
But it deals with heaven and hell and demons and all that stuff. So he's definitely got
kids love that.
He's definitely got a fucked up head, I'd say.
I'd say. I think he shaves his head so he can remove the horns.
I think so.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's my big old stack of comics. If you want to do the math on that, kids, that's probably about enough money to feed a
family of 4 or 5
for a couple of weeks.
So then we got.
Is anybody still listening to the show? You think?
I doubt it.
I doubt it too. We put them all to sleep already. Good night. Good night, kids. I'm sorry, dude. What were you going to say? You had something pertinent?
No, but we got this new business going on with the Marvel comic universe.
The news is a little light for us this week, but Marvel put out this big list. Just today. They announced all their titles
for the post Secret Wars.
Yeah, and it's not all of them yet, but so far they've announced 45 titles, which is just a fucking plethora. And what they did too is they put out a freebie at the comic shops this week, which is all previewy kind of covers and announcement stuff. And Dom's got one in front of him. Dom
on the opening page, the editor-in-chief of Marvel, Axel Alonso, writes a little 3-paragraph statement, just talking about what this new universe is going to be and like what it's about and stuff. But I just wanted to read the first paragraph because it kind of strikes a chord with me with comics. So, so he says, "What was your first encounter with the Marvel universe? Did you pull a comic book off a spinner rack at the 5 and dime like I did?" Or did you float out of a movie theater, your mind blown by what you saw on the silver screen? A world both strikingly familiar and fantastically different, where the impossible was possible? If you like that feeling, you're going to love what's in store for you in all new, all different Marvel. And for me, personally, that's how I got into comics. The exact same way of walking out of a movie theater and just
being like, I want to know more.
Yeah.
I want to know more. Who are these weirdos running around?
Who is this guy with like green skin and purple drawings on his body, played by Batista from the WWE?
Purple drawings, really?
Well, they kind of come off as like a purpley maroon kind of.
But they're not drawings, are they?
Well, they're tattoos, but in the movie they're much more detailed and stuff like that. I don't know. You might have watched a bootleg where everything's blurry and grainy.
Could be.
Just saying. I mean, it happens. But well, it's like what we were talking about a while ago, how Guardians was like a movie that really fucking lit your fuse.
Yeah.
Lit your little fuse.
That's really what,
so that's
got me into it.
That's it. And then now,
so he just goes on to talk about how, all this stuff is, it's full of new and both familiar faces, just a lot of new characters and teams, new missions, new problems. And I think the main thing with this, like you mentioned earlier when you were describing it to me, was that they're just trying to make it easier for people like me who started late in life to jump in.
Right. I didn't know where you were going with the late in life thing. When I hear late in life, usually it means something else.
Yeah, well,
but
I mean, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
People, like you and Bob over here, you guys started reading comics at an early age.
Yeah, like it's
I didn't start reading them until I was 18 years old.
Yeah, so. It's nothing for us to kind of like just pick up something and not know what's going on, and like we're not like. That doesn't make us pause. Like other people, it's like sometimes because they're new to it, they're like, I don't know who any of these people are. I don't know what's going on, and I always feel like, well, yeah, it's because they don't fucking really give good descriptions in a lot of comics anymore. They've kind of decompressed a lot of it, where it's like, and it's not as much fucking voiceover and stuff explaining things.
Just
granted, that stuff
more about the action and less about the side bubbles.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's less about the captions and stuff like that, and over explaining stuff. And I get that that's why that shit is passé. Because it always felt like over-explaining sometimes.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes it is a little necessary. Sometimes you don't get enough from that first page in a Marvel comic recap. It's like, all right, you gave me 3 or 4 sentences. Some books are better.
I think that whole Stan Lee, any comic should be someone's first theory. I think that's kind of been thrown out of the window a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
I mean, not to say that like Marvel doesn't fucking have like a description on some of their books, because every book that you pick up from Marvel, especially the Secret Wars ones, they have like the little description about what it is, at least. You know what I mean? It might not tell you like
it's like the previously.
I don't know, not even like
but with the Secret Wars, it just sounds like you really need a road atlas,
right?
I think for some of it you really do. I think what you really need is an like a gauge that says, all right, these stories were just kind of thrown out because it's going to be fun stuff to do. And then these books are the books, like if you want to kind of keep track of what the big story is that's going on here. Because some books feel more set in where those books matter.
Right, so you have...
and other books are less like a fun romp.
Right,
like, you know what I mean?
So have them kind of like categorize... The stories by, okay, these are the main stories. These are the titles that are going to be in the main story.
Right.
And then have, meanwhile.
Basically, that's like, to me, that would be a better kind of a setup as opposed to just trying to present them all like, no, these are all going to be awesome. These are all going to matter. Because that's a little false. But that's what companies do. But
well, you guys are talking about like just trying to jump into a book. I know even for myself, because I happen to read a lot of books that, maybe when I get to Secret Wars number 5, I might not remember what happened exactly in those first 4 issues. So even as someone that's been following it since number 1,
it can get crazy.
It can get a little you can get forgetful.
Sure.
So I think that even for somebody that has been sticking with a book, I think it's also necessary.
Well, what I find funny too for me, I mean, I guess it just happens in general, but I'll pick up a book that's I've been reading for a while now. And it's like, where did this leave off?
Exactly.
And it doesn't really click until I'm halfway through it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now it's all come back to me kind of a thing. But,
yeah, they can't, I don't think they can keep up with the old style of doing it. I don't think you can go back to that.
Well, there's just so many more titles nowadays,
I think they're just going to have to, I think the issue with these one-page things is that sometimes one page isn't enough based on what's been going on.
Right.
So I think they might have to expand the one page. Right. And when they need to, and say, you know what? All right, we're going to have to make it 2 pages.
Or we're just going to have to instead
page and a half, and then on the bottom half.
Well, then that gets into cost and everything, So then with that, I think for them, they might be looking at it at an angle maybe it's worth it for us to just not add anything in, as opposed to adding in 2 more pages and then making the book $4.99 opposed to being $3.99.
Well, here's the thing too, is that in some of these books, it's a fill, because in the Planet Hulk books, there's 3 pages where nothing happens. It's the opening page, and that's the 2-page spread where it says Planet Hulk in giant text. Right. And that's a waste of 3 pages. I get it, okay, cool, at least it's not ads, but you're not giving me anything there either. Right. I would love to have one of those 3 pages have been a full kind of a recap page. Right. You know what I mean? Because the reason I held on to
right here we have this page.
And now this is granted, inside of Secret Wars, the main book, this is a thing that they do. This is the presentation of the book. Is they do this whiteout thing, and it's a big credit sequence and stuff like that. But in this, it's 4 pages before anything happens.
Well, I think that cast page is necessary though sometimes.
But it's not like a previously on.
No, exactly. Well, that's the thing that I was trying to say before, that it's not really a previously on. Or in issue number 3 of Secret Wars, it's just saying the multiverse was destroyed, and
right. But it doesn't really. I feel like too, it doesn't really they tend not to flash back the previous issues either too well. Like, I mean, this is like the standard Secret Wars intro that they put on all the books.
Every single Secret Wars title has the exact same intro.
Actually, this one's a little different, but not
the main
much.
Secret Wars title to fucking I don't know.
Yeah.
Squadron fucking Sinister. There's the exact same.
The multiverse was destroyed. 2 life rafts escaped the final collisions of Earth 616 and Earth 1610, carrying heroes and villains from both realities. Now the survivors have awakened in a battle world, a planet composed of the fragments of worlds that no longer exist, and maintained by the iron will of its god and master, Victor Von Doom. Now, if that doesn't give you reason to fucking be nervous, Victor being in charge is not a good idea.
No.
I don't know if you know this, but no, it's not
Easy
good.
with that issue over there.
Well, I can't thumb through this and mangle up your fucking variant
It's a variant.
Your variant edition.
I picked it up because I think it's going to be...
Yeah, if you put Victor Von Doom in charge of making sandwiches, he would probably try and work that into a way to take over the world.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, he did. He did.
He basically did. It may not have been because of sandwiches.
He is God Doom.
But he is God. He is the Lord Doom now. So, back to the point. So now Marvel has announced the books that will be shaking out of all this. And yeah, there's 45 as of this point, and we're not going to recap them all, but I have made some highlights. And, I'm sure by the time this goes out, you people have already, made some decisions on your own. But, so some of the books that we're going to get, Invincible Iron Man, another A-Force is going to relaunch, another Avengers, all new, all different Avengers, which is...
has a whole bunch of new faces on there.
There's only, technically speaking, I think somebody pointed out online was that there was only one white guy, which I don't know if that's a problem for people, but it's got the new Thor, female Thor.
Who cares?
Like, exactly. And that guy's in a suit anyway.
Actually, I'm looking at this right now, and I see one... If we're just counting white people, I think Thor, Ant-Man, Iron Man, Steve Rogers, Coulson, Spider-Gwen.
Well, I think these characters
Spider-Woman.
are all... This is the all new, all different Marvel universe.
Why, is Tony going to change to colors?
No, I'm saying, but this ad is not for all new, all different Avengers. Book. This is just an all new, all different Marvel. So it's showing all these characters look different now to a degrry.
I gotcha.
And they're all going to be main players, like even this guy here. This guy was from the Thunderbolts. I forget his...
oh, wow. I
Citizen V.
Wow, look at this new look for Doom, man. That is fucking from the movie, right? That's like what he looks like in the movie?
No, that's one of the Inhumans. That's
is it?
Yeah.
That was Doom.
They're giving a new push on...
because the Inhumans are coming to the next...
Yeah, well, they're the next...
Iron Man movie or the Avengers? No, they're getting their own movie. They're getting their own movie.
They're
are,
ultimately
but
getting
way
their
down
own
the road.
movie. Yeah,
Way down
it's
the
going to be
road.
one of the last ones that have been on the schedule for Marvel. But yeah, that is coming, and they are pushing them hard.
Is the Thing part of the Guardians now?
So yeah, the Thing is going to end up probably in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nice.
As that shifts around. So Uncanny Avengers #1. The reason that this is something to take note of is because it's the team consists of Spider-Man, Quicksilver, Brother Voodoo, Steve Rogers, who's staying old. They're not making him young again anytime soon.
He looks pretty buffy, though. I'm not
Well,
gonna lie.
that's the thing. This is the thing I don't understand about the representation of old man Steve in some of these books. Well, maybe they're younging him up a little bit, or maybe he gets some juice back in him. But even like when they draw him at his skinniest old man, he's still looking pretty ripped for an old man. He's basically Jack LaLanne. You know what I mean?
I don't think they can draw someone who doesn't have muscles at Marvel.
I don't think. Yeah, superhero artist. That's a tough call.
Once you go...
Especially if he's wearing a skin tight shirt.
It's like asking a Japanese artist to draw someone who doesn't look like they're Japanese.
Pretty much. It's like
draw something that's, I mean, all right, it's an anime as a style in its own, but
Right.
even if you're talking to somebody who's like doing a painting, a portrait, they get the eyes wrong.
Well, ultimately, even if he's drawing an American, like you'll feel like, even if this book is about an American businessman who visits the family, like the American businessman will look slightly Japanesey.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I get you. Yeah. It's probably the same way for them with us.
Right.
Like when we draw, you know what I mean?
Yeah, how cool. They can never draw us right. What's wrong with these stupid Americans? Okay.
I just let that sail. All right, but the reason I was pointing this team out, all right, so it's Brother Voodoo, Steve Rogers, Rogue, and either Inferno or the Human Torch, because we're not sure on the cover who it actually is. Inferno being a Inhuman, which
I'm going to go with Inferno on this one.
Well, either one kind of makes sense because this team is so scatterbrained where it's like, I don't know what's going on. And, of course, Deadpool is on this team. And we don't know who this female ninja-looking young lady is.
The only reason why I would go with Inferno on that one is because, A, it says fighting for humanity, inhumanity, mutants and Deadpool. Okay. But aside from that, because they're trying to push the Inhumans back into the whole fold. Right. I think that he might be involved in this team.
And this team, obviously, now from seeing that's the tagline, it's obvious that this team is supposed to kind of be a little bit of everything.
Because we got a human, we got two humans, mutants, Deadpool,
and mystery people.
Yeah,
and mystery people, as you know.
That one might turn out to be an Inhuman. Who knows?
Sure,
could be a new Inhuman character in that new Inhuman book that's coming out.
True. All right. So that's that one. And then the next one we got marked up is Ultimates #1. They're going to reuse the old Ultimates brand. And on this team, it's going to consist of Black Panther, Monica Rambeau, Blue Marvel, Miss America, Captain Marvel, and Galactus.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all we know.
They can just go into a fight and say, stop fighting, or he swallows your planet.
Right. I mean...
There you go. 1 page. Give me your $3.99.
$3.99, please. And come back next month for another $3.99.
For another episode. It's going to be
the Galactus.
Exact same story.
I'll do a Galactus show.
The picture will just be different.
It's like having a big dog on the team. We'll just stick the dog on you. All right. So Sam Wilson #1. Oh wait, I'm skipped one. Doctor Strange #1. Jason Aaron and Chris Bachalo. I never know how to say his name. Bachalo. Who knows? But he's a great artist. I love his stuff. And Jason Aaron has just been hitting it out of the park with everything.
Talking about people who write a lot of books.
Oh, Jason Aaron writes a ton of shit. But he's behind the current run on Thor. He's Southern Bastards. It just keeps on going with that guy. So, that's really, out of all of these, that's one of the ones that I'm definitely going to be picking up is Doctor Strange. I got a feeling I'll be reading that for a while.
Definitely me too, because I haven't really read much Doctor Strange shit at all.
A lot of these books, I know I'll jump in for the first issue, peek at them and stuff, but I'm not going to stick around. So then after that, it's Sam Wilson, Captain America, the new solo book that's going to restart. And it looks like him and Cap... The Steve Rogers, they're not getting along.
So this kind of looks to me like Steve might be putting his fighting shoes back on.
His fighting boots.
He looks like he's gotten into some pretty good shape again.
Okay, his hair's still white though.
His hair's still white. He's got a Captain America suit on. He's got no shield though.
It's his Winter Soldier outfit.
He's got to text Black Panther, be like, "Yo, hook me up with some shield."
How do I get a shield? This guy's not giving me my shield back. So I don't know what the reason for the rift is on those two, but the rift is obviously going to be a big point for that because the whole thing with Falcon being the new Captain America was that the old Cap was in his ear with
right. Helping still buddy,
helping him out. Steve was in the war room basically helping him out and stuff, and I don't know what the rift is going to be, but it looks like it might be interesting. Then there's Totally Awesome Hulk #1. So now this is going to be a book there. It's going to be a different Hulk. Somebody else is going to be the Hulk. The pervasive theory, because they're keeping it a secret, they have his face blacked out in the image and they have his hand blacked out.
And it says, "Who is the Hulk?" at the bottom.
Who is the Hulk? Dum, dum, dum. So the belief is that it's probably going to be this character Amadeus Cho. One way or another.
The only hope I have in this book is that Greg Pak is writing it.
The only hope I have is that this little thing right here.
I hope it's Bucky.
That this little hair swoosh, this little
quaff.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the cartoon character that's got that.
Johnny Bravo.
No, I was calling Sacco that the other day. I was Johnny Neutron. Jimmy Neutron.
Oh, Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron. I can't remember.
Great show.
Great show. Kids love it. So there's that to keep an eye out for. The Mighty Thor is returning with Same cast. They didn't. All of a sudden switch back to Dude Thor.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to change things when your title only has one main character.
Well, you know what it is too. It's also like they didn't give it a long enough run to really get into its own before all of a sudden the Secret War stuff started.
The regular run ended with us finding out that Jane Foster was Thor. And then like Secret War started the next week.
Yeah, so, it was like the next
after that, we really don't know anything, and that was like one of my favorite books.
Yeah,
that was going on.
We still don't know what Thor was. What was whispered to Thor, right? We still never learned what was whispered to Thor that made him unworthy.
Oh no, we don't know.
Right.
I have a feeling it has something to do with Loki. It always.
I do too, but I have a feeling that it has something to do with his self-worth. It's not actually about the hammer. It's something that made him realize,
right.
oh, I fucked up. I'm not a good person.
I think it probably is going to have to do something with, maybe him not loving Jane enough, something like that. Something romantic.
Romance.
Yeah.
I'll flip this table right the fuck out.
I know.
That's the fucking thing. You did not love your one love enough to love her.
Well, it's definitely going to be a decision that he made that is coming back to him.
Yeah, that's right. That's the kind of thing I figure it is too. I'm sure in long term, it's something they're probably going to build up to. So then after that, we marked off Hawkeye #1, which the tagline is Hawkeye versus Hawkeye.
Yeah. So this one, I'm not really the biggest Hawkeye fan. I could take him or leave him, to be honest with you. But
he's gotten better in the comics.
In this magazine, I'm a little bit intrigued by it because the Hawkeye that we see on the cover here is the Hawkeye, I believe, from Old Man Logan.
Well, I pulled this list off of...
That looks like a good call.
I pulled this list off of comicbook.com, and the way that they have it broken down is both Hawkeyes appeared noticeably aged on the cover. Clint, in particular, is sporting a white beard and several new lines on his face. Yeah. So at the very least, it's like, they are bringing Old Man Logan into the mainstream. Is he ending up here?
Are they really?
Did I go too far? Did I jump ahead?
We're only at H.
Sorry. It's not even alphabetical.
No.
All right. All right, so jumping ahead a little bit, we're going to jump past Ant-Man #1, The Vision #1, and Contest of Champions.
Which was an app, by the way.
Which was a comic back in the days. Yeah, I'm sure it was terrible.
Carnage #1.
So Amazing Spider-Man #1, which is still written by Dan Slott. And the reason that I got this marked off is because in the changes that are coming with Spider-Man, Peter Parker is going to get pushed to being like the older dude Spidey. And the young kind of Spidey is going to be Miles Morales. Mm. But so what's going to happen here is that Parker's thing is going to be about, they definitely tweaked up his suit. The spider on the front is a little bit more glowy. And they changed this thing down here around with the lines and shit.
If I didn't know any better, to be honest with you, just from looking at this image on the cover for the first issue, I would think this might have been like a future thing. Maybe he got knocked into the future or something.
Yeah, right? So
Peter's story is going to be called Amazing Spider-Man, and then... Miles Morales' book is going to be...
Just Spider-Man.
Just Spider-Man. So, I just wanted to point that out.
That's fine. So now with Parker's story, though, the thing is that if you've been following him recently, he's actually... Ever since Doc Ock took over his body and left, and if you don't know what that's about, don't worry. But during that time, Doc Ock really started putting Peter on the map, kind of, with his science and technology and his invention. So that's Parker Industries. So Peter's going to be a little bit more involved with that and stories that kind of rotate and roll out of that stuff. Miles Morales is going to be a little bit more of the street level, rolling around, doing that.
Teenagers, that right. So you're going to have two separate titles for two different groups of Spider-Man fans.
Yeah, and
pretty much.
But also, because it's Marvel, there'll be more Spider-Menses. And Manses and Womanses around. Oh,
we're getting a Carnage book.
Not even probably. It's like 2 pages from here.
Hey, you ever wonder why DC didn't do the same kind of thing and make 15 different Batmans?
No, they did.
They did that?
I just don't read them, so you don't see them around the house.
That's right. There were like a dozen different titles.
There's Batgirl. I was telling my niece.
That's right.
I was like, there's Batgirl. There's Batwoman. There's at least 4 different Robins. Only one of them.
Kid.
Yeah.
is only...
Right, that's why I actually saw that Bat-Kid.
Bat-Kid, Batwing,
Right, okay.
which is Lucius Fox's son.
The Yankees have Bat-Boy.
That's true. Most teams. Mm-hmm. So that's...
Batman Beyond.
Yeah. Batman Beyond.
Which is actually the best spin-off of Batman that you could probably...
It's one of the better ones, yeah, sure.
Pull out. Yeah.
But,
Batgirl, not bad.
So, yeah, the Bat family is a lot bigger than you might think. You know what I mean? Because you're not seeing them around here.
Yeah, evidently I was always totally off. Should have said
I was protecting you. I was shielding you from this.
You batty.
You have no idea. The family aspect, that's one of the things. The family aspect of superhero comics has one thing with me. Like, you know, how many different kinds of Wolverines do we need? How many different Spider-Mans do we need? How many Batmans do we need? You know what I mean? Only because it's like, once you do more than one or two, they stop being special. You want to make a character that's tied to Batman, and he's like kind of quasi-similar. Stop calling him Bat Dude. Don't call him Bat Guy.
Batman's son should just be Batman's son.
You know, how about just calling him fucking
George?
You know, fucking the ghost of Gotham or something like that. You know what I mean? Or just give him his own fucking name and identity, as opposed to it being like, well, I'm going to break away from you and go be my own guy now. But I'm going to call myself Bat something. So my independence means nothing.
Yeah, I guess Dick Grayson was the only one who had any respect for it.
Chris would have had that shit. Bat something. I thought I had it all covered. All right. So anyway, back to the list. We left off where at? We left off with the Spider-Man. And then, right. So then Carnage #1. The Carnage series is coming. No one's really caring about that. Spider-Woman #1 is coming. She's pregnant on the cover. People are like, oh my God, why is she pregnant? It's probably because she had sex. I'm just guessing. But people are like, oh, people are all in a tizzy about this, over-speculating. Let's not feed into it, though. But if you want to know more, go online. So just to run down the Spider family stuff. What's coming? Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, that's the one we mentioned before, with Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, Silk, Spider-Man 2099, Web Warriors, and I think that's it. Okay, good. And then
we're getting a new Daredevil series, though.
New Daredevil, it looks like a reworked costume, and Gambit is... It looks all right? I mean,
yeah, but it looks kind of like the one in the TV show.
Oddly enough. It's not quite black. It looks maroonish.
Yeah, it's a little...
And a bright spot on this is that Charlie Soule or Soule, whatever you want.
Now it's Charlie? Now you and him you guys hang out?
Or something?
No,
that's when I look up...
the breeze with this guy or something?
Yeah. I don't know if it's right, but I like to say Soule.
Soule?
Only because it makes you feel like he's...
Well, the guy who writes Letter 44 is writing this book. So that's all I had to say.
That's all you need to know, right? That's how you feel about it? Yes. But it looks kind of intriguing. I am not a huge fan of Gambit.
Well, I know...
He's kind of gotten a little better, I guess.
I know he's writing the Daredevil series that's going on right now, and I know that's like 17 or 18 issues in, and I've heard that it's like a really, really good book.
No,
it's definitely worth like
it is
checking
good.
out.
I thought it was a little bit of a rough start, but
I've heard that it's gotten really good.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you were done. I actually like the idea of Gambit being teamed up with Daredevil.
Okay.
Just because I think they can work well together as a team.
I think there's a similarness to their styles, maybe of fighting, and I mean the backgrounds are obviously very different, and that's not my issue anyway. It's just I'm just not a particular big fan of Gambit. I'm actually looking for something to make me like him again or care about him.
This might be it.
It might very well be.
This might actually be the thing that works out and revives Daredevil because it's a team.
Yeah, and Daredevil is a book that they kind of. Every now and then they kind of try and shake it up, and it doesn't feel like anything really quite sticks with him. Like right now, they had just moved him out to L.A. So what was cool was like it was a little bit about him trying to adjust to living there. So like in the first issue or two, it's like he's trying to chase a bad guy, but it's L.A. They don't have all the skyscrapers, and they're not all fucking like 13 feet away from each other. Like and so he's trying to keep up. He's trying to do this the old school New York City way, and he can't really. He's like, I can't just run rooftops. I got to rooftop to the top of a truck in traffic to try and get he's trying to get somewhere in a certain amount of time.
I think it's a good idea for Marvel to reboot him right now because I think he's going to get a lot of traction on the first few issues, even if the book's not that great. I think a lot of people will pick up the first few issues just because of the fact that the show was good.
Yeah, the show, and it looks like it's a good time to jump
I'm sure you'll get people that aren't really necessarily guys that are in the comic shop every week coming in to pick up that book because they like the show.
Maybe the safe way to go, at least in the first few issues, is to kind of mimic the storyline or fill in the storyline of this TV show.
Yeah,
that would be good. Let's say new ones come out. Mm-hmm. Maybe
that would be a good standalone series. Right. Even if they didn't want to do it in this book.
Right.
Like they did with Arrow and Flash and shit.
Yeah.
Maybe if nothing else, the TV show helps give this leg so it can go on its own.
Well, that's definitely.
I don't think we're seeing Gambit in the TV show anytime soon.
No, fuck no. Because definitely not. Because he's an X-Man. He's a mutant,
and he's being played by a.
And he lives in Louisiana.
Should we digress for a second? Just because, I don't know, now I feel like I want to say how shitty I'm worried about that movie being.
Actually, before, I didn't click
that.
Gambit.
Gambit is...
I didn't click on the link, but I saw before Channing Tatum was in an article, was in an interview with Humberto Gonzalez from Heroic Hollywood. And,
no way.
And he said he dropped a few things in there, but I didn't really click on it, like I said, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I am still having some internet issues. Okay.
We'll save that.
Yeah, we'll save that for news.
I don't think it's really.
But yeah, if you hadn't heard that, Channing Tatum has kind of weaseled his way. I don't know about weaseled, but he's kind of worked his way into being Gambit. There seemed to have been some kind of groundswell for him, and then he kind of rolled with it.
Well, his stock went up after that freaking Mike movie.
It seems like his stock keeps going up after almost every movie he makes lately.
So he's the name that everybody's been throwing around. So
yeah. It was only a matter of time before he probably ended up in one of his projects.
He's not bad, don't get me wrong.
No. I like him better in comedy stuff.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be a bad Gambit. I think he's a little bit too big.
I don't know, man, because I don't think he's bad, but I don't know if he could pull off that.
You mean
buff?
Yeah,
a little too thick muscular.
He could always stand out.
Gambit's got to be lean.
Yeah, he could always stand out.
More Jack LaLanne.
to bring that back around, to bring that full circle.
Right,
a little more Jack LaLanne, a little less Refrigerator Perry.
Yeah.
All right, just showing our age here, kids. All right, back to the list. And the reason we point out some of these is because some of these are actually kind of undergoing some serious changes. So in the Guardians of the Galaxy book, it's still written by Brian Michael Bendis, but the tagline is "The Raccoon's in charge."
And one thing I noticed from the cover here is that we got a little bit of an Alien vs. Predator thing going on with Groot.
Groot's got some dreads.
The Thing is now a member of Guardians.
Okay.
Venom is now a member of Guardians.
Venom's been running with them for a little while.
Oh, he has. Okay.
But he's going to end up getting his own. He's got his own book listed in here that is
Peter Quill looks like a woman.
Peter Quill.
Star-Lord, I should say.
Star-Lord is probably...
clearly not Peter Quill. It's obviously
people are thinking that he's probably been replaced with Kitty Pryde because they started some kind of long-distance relationship, love affair thing, so...
She might have got something to that.
She might have got something. She's helping out. Like so, that's the theory, the pervasive theory. Mm-hmm. And Star-Lord's got his own solo book right now.
He's got another one that's going to be rebooted after all this also.
So also getting a solo book is Drax. Drax, written by up-and-comer. You may have heard of this kid. His name is CM Punk. He is a WWE wrestler.
Yeah, I knew he was leaving to write.
He's been trying to get in. He's been trying to get in. Marvel's been
he's been fighting in the UFC though.
Yeah,
he's been fighting for the UFC.
Was he?
Yeah, that's right.
He's still active.
He did not to start talking about wrestling. I'm actually not a huge fan, people. So don't.
But you kind of keep your ear to the ground.
Brock Lesnar left years ago to join the UFC. He's basically doing the same thing. But I did also hear that he was doing something on the side about comics. I didn't know it was a Marvel or nothing like that, but I did hear something about him wanting to write.
There's been a lot of chit-chat about him for months.
If I remember correctly, his thing was he really wanted to do Punisher. He really wanted to write a Punisher book. He might have even had a whole pitch kind of set up. And they were like, well, let's give you, which is what they normally do with their writers that are up and coming anyway. Let's give you some short stories or some one-shot stuff, some film stuff.
How you do.
See how that goes. And even with this, he's writing it with Cullen Bunn. They're writing it in tandem on some level. So, Okay. So, and all I know is that it's...
When in doubt,
it's got him in some intergalactic fight club thing kind of going on.
And he's got his
He's really stretching. Yeah, CM Punk is really going out of his element.
He's got even like the CM Punk signature with
tape.
the wrist tape that comes around the knuckles with the two X's.
Right. I didn't even catch the X's.
He's got the X's.
I didn't see the X's. Yeah. That's it. I hate this fucking book.
So he's really going out on a limb.
I hate this fucking book now. I want every writer to like do that, to put all their personal fucking.
CM Punk is actually. Seems like a pretty chill dude.
No,
I follow him
does,
on Twitter.
I feel like
he's into hockey, so I like him.
I feel like since The Rock, he's probably one of the most personality kind of crossover chance kind of guys.
John Cena's cool.
No, John Cena's cool too. I take that back. John Cena and
John Cena's just too big. I'm so afraid of him.
He's just top
heavy. The Rock is big.
Top heavy.
The Rock is big, don't get me wrong, but John Cena is so fucking big.
You know what it is? John Cena's a squat.
Yeah.
And so he just comes...
He's like 5'11".
He looks like a fucking bulldog. You know what I mean?
He's so big.
He's doing...
Wait, how big? He's 5'11", 260?
Probably. I don't know. I was just spitballing that.
No, it could be 300 for all I know.
I hear that these wrestlers in the WWE now, they're not doing steroids no more. They're doing massive amounts of HGH.
Yeah.
Right? And some of them now are even experimenting with that new stuff, synth oil.
Okay. You smoke it?
No, it's actually muscle specific. You have to inject some of it into the muscles,
groups?
into the muscle groups you're going to work out that day.
That's a lot. That's way too much work for most of the guys I know.
No, yeah, but dude, what this does is like in 30 days, 2 months,
the results are probably insane.
Results are insane.
I'm sure.
Now, Bob, if you don't know,
I don't know.
This current version of Venom, you might be surprised to know, is Flash Thompson, Spidey's old high school nemesis, then turned friend, who lost his legs in this reimagining of him, or this newer version of him. Like he went to into service, lost his legs in the service, comes home, and the government kind of slaps him into a Venom symbiote. Took him a while. I think he started in the Thunderbolts, doing that kind of shit. And so basically it's like Venom meets the Punisher, meets the fish out of water, trying to deal with the symbiote, relationship
and not having no legs.
And then obviously like needs to be in, feels compelled to always be in the symbiote.
He needs to call Lieutenant Dan from...
Lieutenant Dan... Lieutenant Thompson.
You got metal legs, Lieutenant Dan.
You got symbiote legs. They're all liquidy.
I see Abomination.
You see Abominations.
Unfortunately.
Where is that?
No, not in Abomination. I see the character Abomination.
I thought this book sounded like...
is an Abomination.
Yes, but only to those who care. I thought this book was going to be an Abomination General. Actually,
is that guy right there the dude that runs around with Cap in the fucking first Avenger
So let me roll this by Bob. Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1 to fight the monsters of the world. We need the monsters of the night. So Marvel has decided to take all their goofy, horror-y kind of characters they don't know what to do with, like Man-Thing, and put them on a team with some dead begons. And make
is that
it
the guy from Captain America
So this is Dum Dum Dugan, who is dead in the Marvel universe right now.
Right.
Because he turned out to be
the ghost of Stonewall Jackson?
Well, he turned out to he is basically the ghost of Stonewall Jackson. No, well, he turned out to have been a life model decoy for the longest time, and it was kept a secret from Nick. Nick didn't know, and it was very fucking heartbreaking kind of a thing. It was like...
My friend's been dead all this time and I didn't know because
I didn't know
he was standing right here.
Because,
I used to braid his mustache.
Because there's the guy who helped create life model decoys. I never thought to create something that would tell me if life model decoys are around.
Goodbye.
So I would say kind of, skip that. That's Mark Guggenheim right now.
Is he?
Guggenheim's right now. I'm sorry. That's Frank Barbary. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is what Mark Guggenheim's writing, and that's just basically like the TV show. It's just...
Is Mark Guggenheim's the guy he's the guy that writes for Arrow, right?
So let me understand.
I believe so. I know the Guggenheim. I think the last name is the same. I could be wrong. But Guggenheim's writing some other stuff, yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right. Go on. Hit it.
So correct me and make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So
you're wrong. I don't even know what you're talking about, but you're wrong.
Okay,
go on. I'm kidding.
So Marvel decided to make a bad comic based on a bad show?
Yeah, but that's their baby. They love, they think this show is the bee's knees, and it's like, Marvel's thing now is basically just to try and say, hey, what are we doing over there? Let's do it over here too. So the show didn't really have a book. Phil Coulson really wasn't in the Marvel universe, but once he popped up in the movies, it's like, oh, let's put him in the comics.
DC kind of did that too with fucking Arrow and Flash, but those shows are actually good. So I don't
they all kind of do it. Like,
but I was reading those fucking Arrow and Flash books, like the Arrow, which is based off the show, and then Flash, which is like season 0. It's called.
Okay.
Terrible, so cheesy.
You were
such cheese bullshit. I stuck with both of them for about.
You were digging them at first, though.
The Arrow one was actually not bad. Don't get me wrong; it was pretty cool. It was like it was kind of serious. It was like a little dramatic. But the Flash one was just a total fucking goof.
Oh yeah,
it was so cheesy. Oh my god!
It felt like what is this, based on a cartoon or something?
Pretty much. It was. That's exactly what it looked like.
It was so.
It was so cartoony. Yeah.
It was less than the show or less than the comic book. It was just.
Oh my god!
Watery.
It was like the original. It was like the original fucking CW shows. Remember, like Super.
It was actually that comic. That comic was what we feared that show was going to be.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
It was going to be some CW crap.
There you
go. All right. So my next mark here is Karnak #1.
Who is that?
Karnak is an Inhuman that probably doesn't get a lot of play or respect, and I think his thing has got some kind of martial arts history. But my main reason is that #1, like, yeah, it's under the radar, but B, #2, it's Warren Ellis writing it. And if you know anything about Warren Ellis, it's outside the box type shit. So if you liked that last relaunch on Moon Knight, you might end up digging this, because at the very least, this will probably go for a story arc before he leaves, because that seems to be what is happening lately with him. And I mean, it's just lined up to be something very different. You know what I mean? I'd say give that a shot, give that a chance, because at the very least, like, I don't know enough about Karnak, so I can't outright dismiss it, but looks good to me. And then Extraordinarily X-Men.
Extraordinary, not extraordinary.
Extraordinarily Mutants.
I don't really want to talk much about this because I'm not really...
You upset?
I'm not really a huge X-Men fan, and B, I hate how many X-Men books there are. Along with the Avengers books too, but
that's just
one thing I just want to point out about that is that Old Man Logan is replacing Wolverine, which it looks like.
Well, that's the thing. Now, shaking out of all of the Secret War stuff, it seems like a big part of it was for Marvel to get these key things to happen.
Talent.
Like Wolverine is dead, but here's a way for us to get Wolverine back. We want 2 Spider-Mans. We want Miles Morales, and we want Peter Parker. Well, they figured out a way to do that. So, yeah, like Old Man Logan's back. It finally kind of gets a spin on Wolverine that's a little different lately, which is fine, which is cool. But I get the feeling that it's just going to be, after a while, it's just going to feel like it's white-haired Logan. Like, it's probably...
Yeah, well, I think that's true because, we both are, huge fans of the Old Man Logan run from back in the day, like from Mark Miller, and even the new one we're kind of digging.
Yeah, I'm digging
the new Secret Wars one, but I think, like you said, after a little while, like there's something about like that character and some of the shit that only comes around every once in a while that makes it so cool. And I think when he's going to be around for so long, it might not have that same coolness to it.
Exactly.
He's just going to be like, all right,
well, that's what
you killed Wolverine, and now you're just fucking putting him back in, just older, like from another time stream.
Well, that's the thing that I want to get to too. Like some of this stuff, it's like they make it seem like in that first announcement where you were reading about how Alex Alonso was saying how like this is a great place for people to jump in. It's like I don't know if it's necessarily any less confusing for people who only know the movies. Granted, in Marvel's bubble, the X-Men movies don't count, so they don't really care if like you're confused about this guy.
Right.
But you would be anyway, because if you watched any other X-Men related thing, cartoons or otherwise,
it's all Wolverine.
It's all Wolverine, and he's young and shit. Right. So it's like, well, who is this guy?
Right.
Well, if you go pick up the new Spider-Man and you're not aware, like, who is this guy? And it's like, oh, it's alternate timeline stuff. Like, so you're not really simplifying anything.
And that's something that I had big trouble. I had big trouble with when I first like jumped into comics. Like,
what is what?
It took me like I'm really just starting to wrap my head around all this like alternate timeline shit.
Yeah.
And it's like it's really fucking confusing. But now I'm finally starting to get it. But
it's still crazy. Like because and then all that shit itself has its own history. So it's almost like, oh my god, how deep does the rabbit hole go? You know. But, so that's the highlight necessarily of that. Jeff Lemire is writing Extraordinary X-Men.
Our boy Cullen Bunn is going to be on Uncanny X-Men.
And then Cullen Bunn's on Uncanny X-Men, which seems like a team of bad guys for the most part. It's Magneto, Psylocke, Sabretooth, Mystique, and Phantom X. Okay. I mean, and Greg Land is doing the art. Greg Land is really great.
Maybe that's a way to just separate the titles more. And make and maybe it's instead of having two good guys and bad guys and being on separate teams.
Right.
It's more of like, okay, there's the X-Men who are the good guys, and now. These are the X-Men who, for whatever reason, are now bad guys.
Right. Well, I think it would kind of
it sounds kind of stupid when I explain it that way, but it's
no. I think what he's trying to say, and I understand exactly what he's trying to say, but I think really it is what it comes down to is that I think it would be dumb for them to have 1, 2, 3. X-Men titles.
4 teams, and they're all basically a very similar.
Kind of so I think it kind of shakes it up a little bit. Like
absolutely.
If you're gonna have 3 X-Men titles out, why not fucking make them a little bit different?
Right, and it does condense things because now instead of having the League of Mutants. Mm-hmm. These are the League of Mutants.
Yeah.
This basically.
It's basically the Legion of Evil Mutants.
Right.
Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Right, that's what I was
Cullen Bunn was, I think, writing the Magneto solo book that was just out for not too long. I was enjoying for a while, but it got a little slow. Sorry.
To be honest though, like I don't mind the X-Men titles as much as I do with like Spider-Man and the Avengers.
Right.
Because like X-Men in itself is such a broad thing.
It lends itself to it.
How many? There's 720 mutants, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
So like
you could have 25.
You could have a million X-Men
and not repeat yourself. Right, but
to have 3 or 4 of them going at the same time that kind of talked about and do the same shit would be stupid.
Yeah.
So obviously Marvel is not stupid. So. They split it up a little bit.
It's arguable. All right, so then we're running out here. Next,
Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan, and then Older, Wiser, Sharper is the tag on that. Jeff Lemire again. Jeff Lemire, another guy who's very busy, running a lot of books. Don't know what to make of it. Andrea Sorrentino, I think, is the artist.
That's the guy who's doing the regular Old Man Logan book for the Secret Wars.
Right. So that's a very, it's a good style. I like it.
It's all right. It's an okay style.
It's not superhero Flash. It's very much more.
He's a very good,
kind of artist.
He's a very good artist. Don't get me wrong, but it's not really my favorite type of style. I wouldn't say.
Sure. It's not hyper detailed. It's not crazy realistic looking.
And especially when it comes down to Old Man Logan, like being used to
the Steve McNiven artwork.
Steve McNiven artwork on that original run, just unbelievable.
And nothing will encapsulate my annoyance with the family way of doing characters than the announcement that the new Wolverine, which is just X-23 in the old costume that I find one of the most annoying Wolverine costumes. The old gold and blue or yellow and blue Wolverine costume.
That's a classic costume, though. You know,
no, I've never liked it.
This is my favorite Wolverine costume right here. The
leather jacket,
just a leather jacket.
The old man Logan leather jacket and jeans.
It fits his personality. You guys know him well, you know.
But I always felt like Wolverine's costume was hokey.
That's such a corny costume.
Even when I was loved Wolverine and stuff. It's just one of these things that always struck me as a weird dichotomy of like he's supposed to be a fucking badass.
That's
trained basically as a ninja CIA. Well, how many different ways he's been trained to be covert?
A blue costume.
I want something that basically almost glows in the dark. You got that? You know what I mean? Give me something that really reflects a lot.
Don't mind the voice. It's from the Stogies.
There you go. And lastly, we got
some Deadpool.
New Deadpool book by Jerry Dugan. Mike Hawthorne's the artist on it, and we have a co-artist of Tony Moore, which is exciting, I guess.
Co-artist.
And then and then
it looks like there's definitely an art style that definitely fits his personality.
And then in this cover here, we got an old-looking Steve Rogers in a Captain America costume, looking for an autograph.
Oh Jesus, he's signing. You know what I was looking at this, they got. This is supposed to be like a parade, and this is a big giant Deadpool float, and Deadpool's in the suit and tie. I kind of like that though.
This is awesome. This whole thing is so cool.
Black solid colored suit with the red tie down the middle,
the black shirt.
You can't really see the differentials between it. I kind of like that look.
He's signing a baby's forehead. This old lady who looks about 95 is looking to get a Deadpool issue signed. And
well, actually, she looks like if you went.
Exactly.
She'd blow away.
There's just a ton of fucking shit hidden in this.
Some Canadians are okay.
Dumbwater. It's like every ad in Times Square is basically has Deadpool in it. Deadpool must have really caught on more than usual.
Okay. And then that's about it for the new Marvel
That's about
shit.
it for the new Marvel stuff. I mean, they're going to announce more, it seems like, because everyone's like, oh, it's only 45 titles. And I'm like, what are you trying to tell me? They put out more than 45 titles? But I guess that's true. I guess they probably put out close to 60 titles a month.
But,
Because a lot of miniseries and these kinds of things, that'll vary it up, you know what I mean? But 45 to 50 core titles, it's fucking crazy. It's it's like 10 books a week or more, like 12, 13 books a week.
while we're on a comics episode, we have a little time to spare here.
We got a little bit. What do you you've been reading anything?
No, just since I'm just such like a
jerk,
a good boy.
Yeah.
Every week I go online and I type my pull list into my phone, so when I get to the store, I know exactly what I'm looking to pick up.
Right. That's a good idea.
I was just figuring that while we have the time, I might as well just throw out some shit that is going to be coming out next week, and maybe we
a little week preview into next week.
Then we could report on those titles on the next episode.
So what are you looking forward to?
So this isn't. I'm not going to read my whole list because there's quite a few books here, but there's a few that I'm pretty excited for. Descender #5 by Jeff Lemire.
Sure, I'm reading that.
That's shaping up like it's going to be one of the top books out there. It's very good. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. I like the artwork a lot.
The artwork is amazing. It got picked up for a movie by 21st Century Fox, I think. Right?
20th Century, yeah, but somebody else was attached, like Steven Spielberg or somebody big was attached to it.
It was a big deal when it got picked up because this book got picked up for a movie before it even came out.
Yeah, the issue was, about a month away. First issue got picked up, optioned, and
that's definitely something that you should
cause a fucking fury of first issue sales.
Yeah, that's definitely something you should check out.
I should pull those out. They're pretty good.
I don't have it with me.
Little boy robot,
kind of like
boy robot kind of thing.
Injection #3. First 2 issues of that were pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy, weird.
Yeah,
it's a Warren Ellis thing.
There's really nothing I could
I don't know
say about that because I really don't know exactly what's going on. But
it's a Warren Ellis book.
It's cool.
So you're not supposed to know what's going on to the last page.
Well,
the
it's kind of
last issue.
Yeah, kind of a thing. When his solo stuff, it really runs like that more than obviously when he does his Marvel DC shit. That stuff's obviously easier to jump into, but it's definitely one of these things where it feels like maybe it might be written for the graphic novel format that when it gets collected. So that's like by issue 3 or 4, shit starts to really gel.
Right.
But the artwork is great, and there's enough kind of going on that I'm intrigued.
And then we got Savior #4 coming out, which is up there.
How are you feeling about that?
I think it's a little slow moving right now, but again, it's only up to 4 issues so far. But that is a book that sticks true to the 1 issue a month rule.
What do you mean?
It's not like you know how some books like come out like maybe 2 in a month.
Oh yeah, but that's a rare animal though. That's a rare animal that.
So this book comes out once a month, so it is kind of a bit of like a slow pace thing going on right now, in my head with it. But I think it's gonna end up to be a pretty cool story. It's written by
Todd
by Todd McFarlane. The artwork is fucking outrageous.
The artwork is like this painted stuff, and I don't know how this guy does it all the time.
It's ridiculous.
Granted, it's all digital probably, but it's got this very cool painted look to it. It's a good book.
It's a really good book, and it's.
But I agree with you. It's a little slow right now. I'm hoping it picks up, so that at the very least I can finish out.
It's shaping up to be a little religious.
Well, I think that's the thing that Todd is trying to slowly get to, because I know Todd has had some bones in about religion and shit like that. I think not even just because of Spawn, but just as a person on his personal level. So I can only imagine where that's going to go. But that's the book that they set it up to be. Where it's like, is he the savior, or is he just some random dude with some superpowers? He doesn't know. He's got amnesia.
Right. So pretty much just shape it up for anybody who hasn't read it yet, or for Bob over here. It's
I think I might have read the first one.
Did you?
Bill's got it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I read the first one.
Pretty much just a small town. Just sum it up quick. Small town in the Midwest. Big plane crash. Hundreds of people dead. Hundreds of people missing.
Right on the highway.
Right off the highway. It's a big deal in the U.S. right now, and this random dude just comes walking out of the cornfields. He's naked. He doesn't know who he is. He has amnesia, like Bill said, and he's kind of got like a little weird thing going on where like he might have some powers. Like you see him do like a few supernatural things. Like I think he moves a coffee cup across the table, like a little bit of a Bruce Almighty thing.
Yeah, but it's so not like they're beating you over the head with it. Like, look at all this magical shit I can do. Right. It's like a couple of things. It's subtle things. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
That's one of the reasons why it's a little slow.
Did he just do that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like, am I interpreting that panel right? Because no one's making anything like it's not like a big deal on the panel. That's what happens sometimes with comics. Like,
right. Sometimes they draw attention to that
thing, but because they're not right, but because no one's actually talking about it in the story, it's like, oh, maybe I didn't catch that. I got to go back. Right. Oh, I didn't even realize that cup was floating or something, like, because it wasn't hard pointed out. I kind of missed it. Right.
So then, moving on, we got Starve #2.
Who? Oh, Starve #2,
which was a pretty good first issue.
I just wondered where it's going to go, man.
It's pretty wacky. I'm not really going to touch on that much. I just thought it was a good first issue, and if you did happen to pick it up, I would try and stick with it for a little while because I think it's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
You read the first issue, Bo?
No, but I think the thing to do now with comics is like Bill was saying with the graphic novels is just give it 3 or 4 issues.
Yeah. Yes.
That's pretty much what I do right now. Anyway.
Because you don't know if you're picking up a monthly, you don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be put into a graphic novel.
I think it's easy to say that
pretty much every book gets thrown into a graphic novel.
But if I'll clarify that a little bit from my point, which is like, if you're picking up a Marvel or DC kind of superhero book, you don't have to worry about that shit. But if you're picking up like some creator-owned like book from Image or one of these other publishers, they tend to get looser with the story structure a little bit. Where it's like, okay, by issue 3 or 4, you finally kind of put the story together. Whereas like in a Marvel or DC book, by page 22, you've got all the nuggets, or most of the nuggets you need to be sold on. Like, because Marvel's thing is like, sell them on issue 1. You don't get the returns on that sales, like, all right, we're canceling it by issue 6. Whereas it's like cable versus regular TV, whereas like the threshold to get canceled at Image is a different kind of threshold than it is at Marvel. So you can play a little bit longer at Image, I think.
Right. Okay.
You can go long con kind of a thing.
Right. But I still think you need to follow these a comic for a few issues. When you're starting out at number 1, because even character development.
Yeah, even a Marvel book.
You got to think of it like a movie. In a movie, the first half hour, the hour and a half is all set up and introductions to all the characters. Right? So if you translate that story over to the, let's say, a 12-month arc of a comic book, you kind of got to give them 3 or 4 issues to really solidify what everything is and what is going to be going on.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. It's one of these things where it's, sometimes you don't, you'll feel like you know enough, you know what I mean? But you probably don't. Give it a couple more issues, then you really kind of get settled in.
If by issue 5 you're not feeling good, don't go back.
No, definitely I'd say that,
like 4 or 5, by the time you're done with issue 4, maybe...
They're too expensive now, dude.
Don't go back.
Don't shop like
that. You'll be doing them a favor, too, because if you don't go back, they realize, it's a lousy story, so we'll stop making it.
Yeah, they'll drop it soon after.
Right.
And then we got 1872, which is a Marvel book that's coming out. Don't really know much about it. Looks pretty cool.
It's like Marvel Old West.
I read a little bit of a description here. I just looked it up on Marvel.com. It says, Sheriff Steve Rogers faces corruption and fear in the boomtown of Timely. The only thing Anthony Stark seems capable of is pulling a cork. So can he pull Rogers' fat from the fire? But a stranger comes to town that will change Timely forever. For anyone left standing, that is. A little bit of a puzzle there.
Yeah, a little bit of, it's kind of a little vague in the middle. But, it sounds like a decent setup. I mean, it kind of feels like a typical kind of Western movie setup where it's, here's the sheriff, and then here comes the bear guy, and it's...
Yeah, one of the things that really like attracted me to this book was the cover. It has a tombstone, and on the head of the tombstone it says, R.I.P. 1872, Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, and Steve Rogers. So,
that is a little...
Dum, dum, dum.
Well, maybe it's just, maybe there's no good end to that story. And if that's the case, I like it all the more because, do something different.
It wouldn't hurt to kill them in 1872.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a standalone story.
Right, standalone story.
That might only be like a one-shot.
Don't be so protective,
Right. Like the old What Ifs.
Right, exactly.
Right. I have a couple of those.
So that's a Secret Wars tie-in.
That's a Secret Wars tie-in.
Okay,
yes. And then finally, Last thing on my list for next week, another Secret Wars tie-in that I'm very, very excited about.
I know. I saw you shaking at
Take it away, Bill.
The War of Civilians.
Yes, there you go.
Civil War tied into the Secret Wars. So the Civil War era of Marvel has some little place on this map where Tony and Steve are still fighting, I guess. I don't know, but we're going to find out soon. And who's on the art? I think it's Francis, right? Little Francis Yu? Or at least he's doing covers for it, because it's like...
I'm not really sure, but...
Yeah, but it seems like it, so we'll roll with that for now.
There's nothing really in this...
I think Bendis is writing it. I'm not sure. But either way, it looks like it's in good hands, and it's probably going to be one of the highlights of the... What I'm presuming is it's not one of the main Secret Wars storyline books, like that you kind of have to read, or you'll feel like you're missing out. But of the ones that aren't necessarily necessary, it seems like one of the better ones that's coming.
I'm trying to pull up a description here online, but my phone's a little sluggish right now.
It's a little sluggish,
but
down here in the laboratory, in the Wicked Theory Labs.
Yeah, but anyways, I mean, Civil War is one of our favorite, all-time story arcs. I'm sure. Bob, have you read that?
No.
No, you haven't?
No.
Oh, I have the. You have the issues, right? You don't have the trade.
I don't have either.
Oh, you don't have either.
No, I was on sababbatical.
Oh, okay. Well, I have the trade.
I was on comic sabbatical.
I'll bring it for you.
Okay, sure.
Definitely something to check out. That is pretty much just like, something goes awry within the regular 616 universe, and the U.S. government is kind of at like its wherewithal with superheroes, and they're like, we need you guys to either, go away, tone it down, or you need to give up all of your. You need to give up all of your secret identities.
I know the timeline.
Right. You know of it enough. That,
I don't know. I haven't read the story.
And the superhero registration stuff is not necessarily a new thing to Marvel at that point anyway.
Right.
But it's it comes back hard and firm, and it's a really well done fucking storyline.
And that's done by one of my favorite artists, my favorite writers, Mark Miller, and a great artist, Steve McNiven.
Yeah, it's that team again. So at least it's
very, very good.
It's very good. It's going to be well done.
Yeah, it was.
It better be well done with those.
Well, that first original run of it was.
This new one isn't done by those guys. I wish it was, but this new one is done by a different
Secret Wars Revisit.
The original one, the original one was done by those guys.
It was Mark Miller and McNiven, the same team from Old Man Logan. But we'll dig that out. Don will dig that out and lend that to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've lent it to a few people. So
yeah, it's definitely one of those books where it's like, you want to see what superheroes can be, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
What they kind of should be like.
Whenever I'm telling,
a little more grown up.
Whenever I'm telling, like, any of my friends, like, you should really start, like, thinking about reading comics or, like, just reading cool shit, I always fucking, because all my friends are always into, like, geeky pop culture things and stuff, but no one really reads comics. So whenever, like, I talk to them about it, I'm like, you got to read Civil War. Like, whenever I tell somebody it's Civil War, Preacher, Old Man Logan, or fucking...
Southern Bastards.
Southern Bastards.
You're like, are you even talking about comics? Like, when you roll off that list, it's a thing called Civil War. Yeah. It's Old Man Logan. Yeah. It sounds like,
it's like,
what are these things?
There's no Batman and Robin.
It doesn't sound very comic booky.
No Superman.
Which should be like the first tip off. They're like, yeah, man, it's not like what you think it is. Right. Or it's not like what it used to be. Yeah.
But I pulled up the description for the new one.
So, yeah. So let's see.
Because I personally don't really know how much it follows the original, so this will be good for me. The Civil War ended. Welcome to the war zone, where 6 years of non-stop battle between the forces of Blue and the Iron have split the nation down in its center, utterly transforming it. In a world of new alliances and strange enemies, President Tony Stark and General Steve Rogers meet to make one last attempt at peace.
All right.
Sounds a little weak compared to the old one, but
Well, it's about revisiting that and then making it its own world too. Like, how do you make that storyline its own world? Right. And that's what happens with a lot of these storylines too that have become like their own little world in this. It's like, since it started, quote unquote, the whole way of it being mapped together, like 8 years have passed, and like, let's say if it's based on Days of Future Past, like that whole storyline has now been going on its own for 8 years or so.
Right, that's
it's got its own history.
Secret Wars is.
Yeah, so it's a little bit like you gotta put
so
yourself.
So like we were
in
talking about
headspace.
before with like the meanwhile, like you mentioned, like in a book like that, it would be cool to have like a meanwhile page, like 8 years ago. Whoever wrote that storyline, right. This happened, and then ...
Right.
This is where we're at now, and I know for a fact. I don't know if that book has it because I never picked it up, but I know Old Man Logan #1 had like a little bit of a description in there about the original one. It said that like the Hulk destroyed Logan's family, and then Logan ended up destroying the Hulk, but it wasn't really too extensive. So.
It wasn't too crazy.
But that's about it for me. But
yeah, I don't know what else we really got to throw into the episode.
By this.
So let's talk about that.
We can
real quick.
revisit that. The first time we're revisiting something we mentioned we were going to revisit.
Yeah, we're gonna follow up with that. Yeah. So we'll wrap up with this little segment.
Letter 44.
What you're reading, kind of a thing. Bob just.
I recently finished.
You recently finished letter 44.
Well, I guess about a month ago.
The first trade, though.
The first one, yeah.
So now. Yeah,
good story.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's a good story. It's about guy's first day in office as president gets a letter. There's a letter on his desk. It says letter 40. There's just the number 44 on it. So it's for him. He's the 44th president of the United States. Turns out the 43rd president of the United States wasn't the screw up that everyone in the country thought he was, because lo and behold, we know there's aliens in deep space building a giant thing. Don't know really what it is. They're kind of pointing it our way, like an intergalactic gun. Mm-hmm. And,
right.
So the story is just about what this guy's going to, how this president is coming into office, how he's going to deal with this,
right,
and what is happening with the gun in space, or if it's a gun or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, the story follows two tracks. It follows the president in the White House and dealing with that, and then it also follows. Turns out that all that money that the previous president was spending was ramping up to how are we going to take this on or challenge it.
Right. Well, I wasn't going to get.
You weren't going to get too much spoilery stuff.
Before you go any further, though, it's kind of more. It's kind of like more of a spin on how bad Bush fucked us financially,
right, with wars and stuff.
With wars and sending so many of our brothers and sisters over seas, and the amount of money we spend and the lives we've lost, and then all of this happened not because of a man that was money hungry or just didn't really know what he was doing, but because we needed to spend all that money to make it look like we were spending it on war stuff, but really we were spending it on technology to fight. To prepare for an alien invasion, pretty much.
Right.
That's pretty much what it is.
And if anything, it's it's a Bush-Obama analogy to a degree, but not completely. But it's definitely like a Republican president, and then followed by a Democratic president who's obviously got very different ideals in general. But even that guy now is forced to struggle with what do I say to the public, when do I say it, if I say it.
Yeah, this is not a situation you can just say, well, that was his problem, I'm not going to...
Exactly.
He has to deal with the ramifications of everything that this guy, the president before him, left him with.
Right.
And he's got this gigantic problem that no one else on Earth has ever had to deal with.
Right.
That he's got to handle.
Yeah.
The whole time, keeping himself looking good to the public.
Right. No, yeah. It's about trying to keep up appearances, and then at the same time, not to give it away too much, but that old president that he replaced really doesn't kind of go away.
Right.
He kind of starts to become a problem of his own, I believe. Right? In this book? Does he pop up?
In the first issue.
In the first issue.
The first
from
trade.
the jump, first trade.
First trade, yeah.
He does kind of...
I think, I forget, because it's been a month, but I think he ends up dead 43. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't want to give anything away.
I'm not sure. We're not trying to give anything away, so...
Yeah. We'll keep it vague. We'll keep it to that. This is
It's definitely something, like, if... For me, as someone who's not into the superhero stuff anymore.
Right.
It's something that's good to pick up.
Right.
It's something that might be good for someone who's older, who's like, well, what's this big deal with comic books and graphic novels?
Right.
that might be something good for them to get into.
Right.
I mean, I think Preacher is a better story.
Right.
But I think this is something that's a little more palatable to most people.
Sure, this plays more as a sci-fi kind of thing. It's what you're familiar with to a degree. It's got some politics shit in it.
With this story, I think anyone can jump in and read it. But with Preacher, I think it takes like a certain kind of person to be able to like withstand that storyline and everything that goes on. You know what I mean? Like, this really isn't too crazy.
It's a little harsh, that storyline.
Preacher will definitely test you.
There's definitely an abrasiveness to the story.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But Letter 44, not so much. But Letter 44 is
so we wanted to bring that up. We want to bring that up because I just picked up the second trailer.
Yeah, it's been optioned. It's been optioned for TV. I think Fox actually has the option on it.
Which I think that'll be a perfect format for that story.
For that story, absolutely. You know, whether or not the Fox is the best place for it to go, you know, whatever.
Right.
But definitely episodic. You know, that's the way to go.
Definitely
3 movies kind of thing is not the way to go with this.
You can unleash enough drama at the end of an episode to keep people hooked till the next week, and not give away the big reveal that you want to hold on to at the end of every season.
Right.
You know, that's not going to be a problem with a show like this.
No.
If you just go by the way it's written, because it's well written, and you don't screw up what's here, they'll be fine. Yeah, they'll have at least a 3 to 5 year run with that.
And that's like saying a lot too.
I just have a bad feeling about it because
this book is only up to
17 issues.
17 issues at this point. And it's not a book that we know how far it's really going to go. Like, you know, how much it's going to stretch it out. But like you said, it's built for that. It's such a TV pitch.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. And you pitch to them a 4-year arc because it's a presidential point of view.
Sure.
4 years.
Yeah.
And then say, well, if it's great, you know, we can do another 4 years.
Yeah. He gets reelected. You know,
he gets reelected,
which will probably become an issue at some point in the book itself.
Having
to get reelected.
It depends how long it runs for. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because I don't really know how long the timeline is in the book because of like it's dealing with space and shit. So like obviously their time is different than ours down here.
Well, not too much. Well, the thing to remember. Well, we didn't give that away too much. Let's not give away too much. Let's leave Letter 44 at this. This is a Wicked Theory show podcast recommendation.
All right,
absolutely,
highly recommended from everybody at the table. It's one of those books that if you're looking for something different, that's not superheroes. Right. That reminds you of the cool shows you watch on TV. Yeah. This is a book to pick.
Pretty much anyone can read that book, I think. If you're a hardcore comic book fan or just a casual person who's even going into this with a closed mind and saying, you know, a book shouldn't have pictures.
Right.
You know, this is something that you give it 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah.
You're going to finish that book.
I think so.
You're going to finish that graphic novel, and then you're going to be wanting the next one.
Yeah. This is I was telling Don. This is one of the only books that I caught up and I read it monthly. Like I bought the trade when it came out. Right. I knew it was a book that I had missed out on, and so I had to jump on it right away.
Right.
And so the way that they time these things, like the first story arc finishes its monthly publishing at issue like 6 or 7. Boom, that first trade comes out, and then the next issue comes out the next month.
Right.
So normally what I'll do is I pick certain books. It's like, well, I started reading that in trades. I'll just wait till the trade collections come out. But this is one that I was like, okay, I'm going to jump right into the monthlies.
Yeah, you need to keep it going.
I couldn't wait. You know, I should probably do it with a couple other books, but this is one that I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, depending how this trade ends and how I feel about it at the end of this trade, I'll probably do the same thing because I think this ends up at like issue like
it's close to where it is
13 or 14. I know it's up to like issue 17, so
you could probably catch those
I wouldn't have
issues.
A problem with picking up those like 3 or 4 back issues.
Yeah, they're probably out there on the rack down at
definitely,
still.
Definitely.
Yeah, probably. If not, he'll ask him. I'm sure he'll be able to get it.
He'll probably be able to track them down, or you could track them down on your own.
Well, depending on
thanks to the magic of the web.
Right. Well, depending on how far out this third trade is, then I'll decide.
Well, here's the thing too. By the time you get around to reading this and finishing it,
well, as soon as I finish this stack right here, I'm probably gonna read that.
Yeah, you'll probably be burnt through this by next week. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
But this again, like this is one of those books that's a really great story, and
you almost want to take your time.
And it's also like it's a thick trade, you know. Like
Yeah, well,
they
this
give
is
you
like
a lot
7
of
or 8
issues,
issues.
and it's not like
I think this is feels a little thicker than the first one, but
and
probably
it's
not.
wordy too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are some runs where it's a lot of.
It's not just straight.
Do you know what I mean? Like this. Look,
pictures.
I just flipped it open, and this is like this is like
let's
an
not give
episode.
away too much.
It's an episode of The West Wing. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually a good comparison to this.
Yeah,
book.
it's West Wing meets alien conspiracy.
X-Files.
X-Files. Yeah, there you go. I'll go with that. I'll go with that to a degree. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's highly recommended, kids, and maybe we'll try to do more of that recommendations, like one solid recommendation from the table.
I just got a question right now for
sure.
my friend Bill. Am I right?
Whoa.
I'll ask Bob the same.
Whoa.
What's your favorite book
damage?
right now?
Favorite ongoing.
Besides Southern Bastards.
I was going to. But you're right though, because I say it too much almost. It's like, well, besides that, what could it be?
He goes,
Well, you do ask for the favorite.
Yeah, I know.
And it's a tough question, but I'll say
because
Walking
the
Dead.
favorite is
Walking
something we all know each other and we know know what our tastes.
Right.
You
Well,
know
here's
what he's going to say, so then you got to tell him, well, not your favorite.
Right.
Right.
Make it your second favorite. Now you got to rethink everything.
And you know me, with thinking, that could take forever. Just about things I shouldn't have on the top of my head. What about you, Bob? You did throw it to both of us.
Yeah. Okay.
I know you're not really picking stuff up every
Well,
week.
yeah, I don't pick up, but when I read, Letter 44 was really good, that first trade.
I agree.
That was something, things have to, really, make
wow you?
Wow you, and then you go, well, that's something I can read again.
Right.
That's
because
what
it's
I look
different.
for.
That's how good Letter 44 is, I think. To me.
Yeah.
I would be able to read that first trade again with the same excitement and interest that I had the first time around.
Right, because the stories are so well told.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing for me. It's like, I guess maybe my bar is just set kind of high.
No, but I suffer from that
don't
too.
do it.
I do
monthly,
too.
Monthly just
do.
doesn't do it for me now. It's like it's over before it began.
There's a lot of things I pick up, and it's like out of habit. You know what I mean? It's almost like I shouldn't be doing this to my wallet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of stuff that I end up reading. And it's like, why am I fucking reading this? Why did I bother fucking spending $4 on that book?
Cerberus.
Yeah, well, Cerebus was an ongoing experiment of, which I dipped in and out. I do not have the full run on Cerebus, but I have a couple
for a while
books.
you were talking about it.
For a while, I was trying to. I was like, that. I'll get all those books. And I was like, I'll just maybe find out which one to
300
do.
collected issues, the whole his lifetime work.
Just the collections I was going to get.
In one of those big
even that I
ancient
gave up.
books that you got to use two arms to open.
A literal tome.
The dust comes out of it, Because,
as big as
because
a
he
desk.
started the beginning of the book back 30 years ago.
Yeah, right. Well, basically.
So the first page is all dusty. Anyway, we digress. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Show's
No,
over. No. Let's plug it up. You can send us emails at podcast@wickedtheory.com. You can follow Dom at Dom_Torre, Torre, on Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitter as well at Bill Sweeney, SWEENEY, at Wicked Theory. What else should we plug? Anything else?
That's about it, man.
You can find us on Libsyn. You can find us on iTunes. You can follow us. My mouth is not working anymore. It's time to close the show. You can find us on your Purple Podcast app that's on your iPhone or iPad. Just search for it, people.
Yeah,
Go to Wicked
probably
Theory.
on the back page of your.
Yeah. Anytime I've taken someone's phone so far, and
Yes, Bill takes phones.
I steal phones. Anytime I've snatched someone's phone to subscribe them to the podcast, I always find it hidden somewhere on the last page in a folder. You know what I mean? So dig it out, people.
Usually marked.
Goodbye, people. Goodbye.
$57.